Hey there, Megan Jansen here with Employee Wellness Solutions Network. I'm still on a year-long mission to talk to as many people as I can who really have a passion in influencing healthy workplaces and healthy employees. Today's no different. I have Mari Ryan with me today. Mari, you're the CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. You're an author, you're a speaker, you're a well-being strategist. You have 30 years in doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for being with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
Love it. Let's get right into it. You wrote a book called The Thriving Hive. Let me get it right. The Thriving Hive, How People-Centric Organizations Ignite Engagement and Fuel Results. I love that. Let's start with your title, The Thriving Hive. How did you come about using a beehive metaphor? Let's start with that one.
Well, it was interesting. I knew I wanted to write a book for a number of years, and I'd done some research with CEOs and asking them about what it really takes to create a high-performing workplace. And as I was getting ready to start writing, actually a couple months before I started writing, I came across some images of bees. And it made me think about that a beehive is a perfect metaphor for the workplace. It's a system, everyone has a job, everyone knows what their job is. You can equate it to having a purpose bigger than just the individual work that the worker bees are doing. And once I started researching bees, because I really didn't know much about them, I found that it actually worked very well as this metaphor for the system of the workplace.
I love that. So what are some of the characteristics of a thriving organization? Let's maybe start with that too.
Well, that's a great question, because when we think about what a thriving organization is, we have to think about it from two perspectives. One is obviously about the people, and we're in the people business. So we often think about the people first. So if we can think about people first in an organization, it's going to help us recognize that business is important from a bottom line perspective, being able to have, profitable organizations and be able to achieve their business objectives. But they can't achieve their business objectives without their people. So if their people aren't thriving, then the organization can't thrive.
So in terms of employee well-being and culture, how does an organization's culture actually influence the well-being of their people?
Well, I think there's actually a number of ways, and this is one of the things I've been on a mission now for a couple of years to help people really understand. If you've ever worked, and we probably all worked in some sort of an organization where you may just have dreaded going to work every day, or as in the metaphor in my book, there's two hives. There's the dive hive, where the entire focus is on profits, all about the numbers. We got to meet the numbers, as opposed to the alive hive, where the focus is on the people and helping people thrive, helping them be their best and helping them work at their best. So when we think about the culture of an organization, it's those messages that culture sends. Is it how, and culture's made up of norms, behaviors, and assumptions. Those are the things that actually create the culture, and those are based foundationally on values. So what are the values? Is the values all about making bottom line profit, or is the value about how we care for people and how we help people live their best lives, help them enjoy the work that they're doing so that they feel a connection to it and they feel connected to a purpose bigger than something other than just profit?
Do you have any thoughts on maybe best strategies or best practices if an organization doesn't currently have a people-centered culture? Can you give a few ideas on maybe what an employer might be able to try to maybe have more of that angle within their culture?
So that's really, thank you. That's an important point to make. I think one of the things you have to first do is you have to first recognize that things aren't working as best that they can, and be willing to have the conversation about it. These are sometimes courageous conversations for people to have in an organization to say, maybe this isn't working as best we can. And there can be a lot of indicators for that. Turnover is one of those, disengagement or lack of engagement, lack of productivity, not being able to hire the people that you want, so not being able to attract the talent. So first is really starting to have the conversation. What needs to change? And then perhaps bringing the employees into that conversation. What works for them? What doesn't work for them? What do they feel connected to in the workplace that makes them excited to be there every day? I think another really important piece is around communication. Really making sure that communication is transparent. In my book, I use the dive hive and the alive hive, the two different hives as this metaphor. And in the dive hive, all of the communication is on a need-to-know basis. So, not being fully transparent, just telling you enough to be able to know something, but not maybe the whole story. Whereas in the alive hive, they really focus on making sure people know what's going on, why how they're impacted by what's going on within the organization, and to give them a sense of security and help them feel really cared for.
I mean, how does that translate to a healthy bottom line? I mean, you've been in this industry for so long, you've probably seen lots of examples of this, but how can focusing on a healthy culture and a people-focused organization really lead to healthier returns?
Well, the good news is there's some good research that's coming out on this. There's several articles that were published this year that really show that there is an impact, higher returns for companies that focus, really have a people focus and focus on a culture of health. But I've already mentioned a couple of places where this is really measurable. I'm really a big advocate of making sure we can measure well-being in the workplace. So if you look at things like engagement is measurable. Engagement is productivity. And if you're not getting the work that you need out of the people that you've got, you're making a huge investment in their salary and benefits. And you really need to be able to have the work produced that you need. But also in terms of turnover. Turnover is very costly. And this is another really good metric to be able to show that the disruption that turnover can cause, in addition to the actual cost of having those people not in the roles they need to be in, and sometimes the impact on customers as well. And all of these are really good indicators of the ways in which the bottom line is impacted. But again, I draw on this research to be able to say there's a lot of good research that's coming out on this, and I'm thrilled with that.
Hey, that's great. It's always helpful to know and to measure and evaluate exactly what you're wanting to make things better. So you definitely, I concur. As we tie up our time together today, do you have any final thoughts, tips, strategies on, having and focusing on a people-focused culture?
Well, I think it's important for us as well-being professionals to really make that link to the bottom line and really be able to address this as an important business issue. Because again, you can't achieve your business objectives without your people. If you don't take care of your people, you're not going to be able to achieve those objectives. So think about this from a business perspective and help build the business case for that.
Love that. Mari, Ryan, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciated chatting with you.
Thanks so much.